All right, good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting of the Academic Senate to order. Today is October 6th. The time is now 3:03. Thanks to everybody for joining us today. Our Academic Senate community values are always posted on our agenda as item 2.2. I'd like to call your attention today for number 8, especially because we're going to be hearing lots of presentations from our colleagues. Commit to working with an equity mindset and to upholding the mission of the college to foster an equitable, inclusive, respectful, participatory, and supportive community dedicated to the success of every student. As senators, we should center equity in all matters before us and question who may benefit from our decisions and actions and who may be harmed. So please keep that one and all of our other community values in mind today. Our Zoom meeting guidelines, we're going to have lots of presentations today. Senators, if we have time for questions, you guys kind of know the routine by now. Please raise your virtual hand in the field and you'll be called on in the order that you raised your hand. Each of our presenters will be made co-hosts of the meeting. If they would like to drive their own slides, they can. If not, I can drive them for everyone. Item 2.4 and 2.5, approval of our agenda. Our agenda will go as distributed and posted today with nothing coming out of order. We will be sticking to our timed presentations. We are now at item 3.1. If there is anyone here from the public or Santa Barbara City College community that would like to make a public comment, please do so now. You can indicate that you'd like to by raising your virtual hand in the controls of your Zoom meeting. Anyone here for public comment? I'm seeing none. All right. So minutes of our regular meeting of September 29th, just last week, they have been posted and distributed. Unless I hear a call for any corrections, we will accept them as posted. Trisha?
Yeah, I just noticed the one part we were talking about whether to get the dean's input. It said that I said we should have it after voting, and that's not what I said or meant. So maybe just remove that line.
Okay, so Trisha would like the line referring to her speaking towards the dean removed. Any other amendments needed for our minutes from last meeting? Okay, all right, then unless I hear otherwise, we will accept our meeting minutes from September 29th as suggested to be amended and posted. Okay, I'm not hearing otherwise. President's report, it's given there written. I'd also like to share a couple of things. Tuesday, October 26th, I, not as Academic Senate President, however, as a human being on this campus, am hosting an SBCC get-together social night at Municipal Winemakers in the front funk zone at Anacapa. So we have the place rented and the event will start at 6 p.m. and it will go until approximately 10 p.m. So please join us if you can, and I will also send out a formal invite to the campus. Additionally, a lot of my time has been spent over the last couple of days in dialogue with our faculty association leaders, specifically Cornelia Alzheimer, as well as in meetings with Dr. Kindred Murillo and Dr. Kathy Scott about our spring schedule. At this time, across the board, we are hovering around 40% in face-to-face offerings. which is not meeting student demand, and it is not addressing some of the equity concerns that we have seen at various presentations in our different constituency groups and in our important conversations. So at this time, the administration has come specifically to Cornelia and I to plan to get our input on a way forward. Cornelia and I will be initially reaching out to department chairs for particularly problematic programs that are more than 50% online still with their spring scheduling, to try and engage them in dialogue and planning around that and see what changes we can get made for the spring semester. The Senate will also, after I spoke with Senate steering today, will also be holding a special meeting either next week or the week after. We'll send out a doodle poll, get people's input on availability. Last Senate meeting, you all know, we approved recommendations to department chairs to not recommend overloads unless a person is face-to-face. And at this point, Senate steering feels strongly that that recommendation should be much stronger. So the Senate will be discussing perhaps a resolution at our special meeting to basically empower the administration to work around this. We certainly want to avoid this. We certainly don't want a heavy-handed administrative approach to this. And so that's why Cornelia and I are trying to get ahead of this and engage our faculty chairs and colleagues in a planning dialogue. But the Senate, because we're a Brown Act committee and we need to get input from our constituencies, we need to, as senators, we need to start planning for that now. So like I said, senators, please expect a doodle poll so that we can get something planned. Our next regular meeting, we're going to have only faculty presentations. So we can either have our meeting after that and have a very long meeting, or we can schedule another day. So that's all I want to say for my president's report. Liaisons, do we have any liaisons report today? I'm seeing none. So Dr. Kathy Scott, I know, wanted to share a few things before we get started on our presentations. Go ahead, Kathy.
Thank you, Ray. I did want to talk to you also a little bit about spring. We had a very serious conversation in the Dean's meeting this morning based on the schedules that we've received thus far for spring of 22. And for the most part, they're in at this point. We are really not where we need to be yet in terms of providing access to students to in-person classes. The numbers are not even close to what we requested in our goal. A couple of areas have reverted and are less than they are now. Some of the ones that did not increase very much. Some people did work really hard to try to increase that, and I do appreciate those areas. I have to say, I know that some department chairs worked closely with their faculty and they did increase, but overall, we are not where we need to be. And I just wanted the Senate to be aware of that. And when I look at some data, it concerns me even more. For example, we have a survey out there currently. I think most of you are aware. It's been out there for about a week. Asking students what they prefer. As of this morning, 38.3% said they would prefer some classes on campus and some online. 28.8% said they want all of their classes on campus. 28.8%, the exact same number of students, said they want all of their classes online. And the rest, the very small percentage, 4%, said they didn't have a preference. So that, what we've got for spring concerns me that is not being met. Also, we did a survey at the end of last semester about students and their experiences online. 57% of the students said that they were really struggling with their online classes. And the areas that they specifically cited were difficulty learning the material on my own, lack of interaction with other students, lack of interaction with faculty, and difficulty keeping up because of no regular class times. And when we look at the disaggregated data within that 50%, 57% who said they were struggling, there is disproportionate impact with our Black African American students and our Latinx students being much more likely, just as an example, to have higher percentages in those areas that I just read off. And it's important to note in these two surveys that I just talked about, we're not even surveying the students that we've lost. We're asking the students who are currently here in mostly online classes what they want. We're not asking the students who have left us, who are again, mostly disproportionately impacted students. We are, and I said this at the in-service, we are in danger of losing our middle college status and becoming a small college, which I don't know how other people feel about that. I don't think the president is that happy about that. I'm not happy about it because in addition to meaning a significant loss of income for the college, it also means that there are probably students out there in the community we're not serving. We want to do a re-enrollment campaign, but a lot of the students who've left who want to come back want face-to-face classes, and we aren't providing a sufficient number of them. We've had a 50% drop in our EOPS students. We've had a drop in Pell, which is the federal financial aid. The students who have been dismissed for financial aid reasons, the vast majority of them are saying that they had trouble in their classes because they struggled online. So for all of these reasons, I feel that we really need to do better to create a schedule for spring that is more student-centered. And I appreciate the leadership of the Senate on this. I really do, because right now I don't feel that we're doing our best for our students. So, and I also want to say, this semester, nobody was, there was a voluntary coming back. People are allowed to switch their classes back over to online if they wanted to. 75 sections got switched back over, what was it, 3 weeks before school started. We have a vaccine requirement, which is what the faculty wanted, and we're just not doing well enough. So I don't mean to be the bearer of, I don't know if it's bad news, but of angst, but I feel that we need to do better, and somehow we have to come together and do better for our students. And I appreciate your time and listening to this. Thank you.
Kathy, what's a percentage that are we down overall?
What are you talking about?
Like, we're like 7% overall, our enrollment, what I was just curious, where are we at with that? What's a percentage?
We lost 20% FTES last year.
Wow.
And we're down about 5% so far right now.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So yeah, thanks, Kathy. Do any senators have clarifying questions for Kathy? Okay, coolness. I'm gonna move on. Let's see. There was no request to agendize items at future meetings. There is no consent items on our agenda. The call for exemplary program award went out via email from Darren Gerard, so please see his emails. It's also posted as an information item on our agenda today, as well as there are a couple BPs and APs that BPAP has finished up with and are posted on our agenda for information. I want to thank the Senate for their hard work and endorsement of the needed changes around academic renewal. I think that was a really amazing show of collegiality, listening to the experts in counseling in EOPS and listening to the recommendations that they came forward with, and by extension ESD. Senate made recommendations to BPAP. They were overwhelmingly positive. Mike Medell and Maureen Ray Goldberg had a chance to weigh in, and the changes were accepted, and this item is out as information, meaning that we were listened to and there's not time for input on it, which is a really amazing thing. So thanks to everyone at the Senate for your strong recommendation around the proposed changes, and we did really good work there. So, and it's gonna...
Are non-senators not allowed to ask questions? Is that why my hand?
That's right.
Okay, bye.
Cool. yeah, I didn't get a chance, nor did I want to cut Tomas off, but yeah, we have a time for public comment and that time has passed.
Sorry about that.
It's all right. You're not a regular here. It's all good, Tomas. You didn't know. It's all good. What was I saying? Doesn't matter. Let's move on. Right. So we are now at presentations. So senators, these will be timed items. I forget what the timing is. Everybody that has one position, it's 6 minutes, 2 positions. I'm forgetting what it is right now. I'm going to be the timekeeper, so I'm going to keep myself unmuted. So there will be a 2-minute warning. The people that are presenting will hear it, hear my phone go off. That's your 2-minute warning, and then you can finish up your presentation. Most likely, there won't be an opportunity for senators to ask questions in real time, and so there is the shared Google Doc for senators. You will have access to it. You put your questions in there, and then I get them to the respective program or department, and then they can be answered in the Google Doc for everybody to see. Sound good? All right, right on. So first up, we have DSPS, and it's my understanding that I am going to drive the slides for Linda, who is here with us. So let me just—
Thank you for that.
Yep, no problem. So let's see. DSPS is requesting 2 positions, so you get 12 minutes. So Linda, I'm going to set the timer after you get started for 10 minutes. So that will be your 2-minute warning, and then I'll politely interrupt you at the end to say, okay, time's up. And I will share your slides right now, but don't get started until I do.
Okay. And Ray, you can start with the slide that shows the student population division, the multicolored, well, not the funding one. And we'll switch it out if that's okay. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Shall I begin? Yes? To go? Okay. Thank you, Ray, and greetings to all of you. As the only LD specialist in DSPS at this point, I am here to present an urgent request on behalf of the department. DSPS is submitting a request for 2 replacement positions to fill a vacancy due to the retirement of Leslie Ann Taylor, LD specialist, in June of 2021. The other vacancy is due to the very recent passing of LD specialist Janet Hose. I'd like to just take a quick moment of silence to honor her passing. A loss of 2 full-time LD specialists / DSPS counselors will have a deleterious effect on the integrity and delivery of our current program, as well as diminish our ability to maintain legal compliance. DSPS is a federally mandated, categorically funded, and that will become more clearly relevant in the next slide, that provides support services, specialized instruction, and educational accommodations to students with disabilities so that they can participate fully and benefit as equitably from the college instruction as their non-disabled peers. These services are not duplicated anywhere else on campus. The primary role of the LD specialist is to pre-screen, administer, score, and interpret assessment results as prescribed by the statewide Learning Disability Eligibility Services Model. When the LD specialist engaged in testing students, the professional performs the work of a DSPS counselor and utilizes their unique skill set to analyze and resolve complex accommodation requests, as well as provide disability-related counseling to students. It is important to note that students with learning disabilities make up the largest disability category, both statewide and locally. at 26%. You can see that in the top right of the circle, the blue circle, the blue segment. Also, you'll see the smaller areas: deaf and hearing impairment, intellectual disability, acquired brain injury, low vision, mobility, other medical and attention deficit, and mental health, which is a growing category, especially since the pandemic. Disability services. Well, let me just say, compact this a little bit. If these two positions are not approved, SBCC will not be able to maintain level of support and services due to an overburdened faculty. The college needs these two positions filled in order to remain current and federally compliant to address identified equity gaps. So this unique position is so specialized and multidimensional that there are very few qualified people in the Santa Barbara community or even statewide, and therefore we can't really attract very many adjunct instructors to fill the gap. So full-time specialist positions are necessary to attract candidates with the needed expertise, since any that exist probably have full-time jobs. Outreach to faculty and students directly impacts FTEs. And so DSPS plays a key role in the success of students across all disciplines. Students that are effectively supported stay in school and persist. And we've seen an increase in the need for that with online remote classes. So due to the nature of testing, a student for learning disability, the COVID pandemic created barriers to providing such assessments. In 2019 through 2020, over 300 students applied for LD testing, and in 2020 to 2021, 136 students requested testing. None of these students were able to be tested for a disability. We anticipate a surge of new requests, as well as that backlog, when we fully resume in-person services on campus. Approval of these replacement positions is an investment in student success, as it contributes to the reduction of equity gaps in achievement, as well as increases the goal of completion. Students with disabilities is a disproportionately impacted group identified in the Vision for Student Success Goal Alignment Plan. The Student Equity Plan calls for an imperative to eliminate equity gaps and dismantle barriers. The Student Success Measure of completion of transfer level math and English within the first year identifies students with disproportionately impacted group. DSPS counselors and LD specialists identified as resources in Student Equity Plan, and Guided Pathways identifies an increase in DSPS services to include specialized tutoring as an example of the work to be done to increase retention and completion. DSPS is, so in summary, basically, DSPS is responsible for maintaining the institution's legal requirement to provide equal access to students with disabilities per the Americans with Disabilities Act, 4 of the Rehabilitation Act, and Title V guidelines. LD specialists wear 2 hats and enable SBCC to meet mandated counseling support services to this population. The needs of students are becoming more complex and demanding. Mental health needs are through the roof. I think all of us are aware of that, and therefore they require increased contacts with a disability counselor, serving students from credit and non-credit campuses. Without adequate staffing in DSPS, the federal mandate to provide students with disabilities equal access to instruction and programs, cutting or reducing the number of DSPS counselors will increase the risk of legal grievances. And I can take that second slide now, showing the funding division. Okay. Next slide. Thank you, Ray. So this shows us, this is a very unique model of funding. Only 20% of this position comes from the general fund and costs the college money. The 80% blue piece is made up of categorical funds that come from the state and are earmarked for this population. they can only be used for this population. If we do not use them to fund the positions to provide the services, those funds go back to the state. So we don't really want to do that. There's a positive correlation between the number of students that qualify under LD assessment model and the amount of categorical funds that the college receives annually. So if approved, DSPS will seek 2 DSPS counselors with the required qualifications of an LD specialist and experience in LD assessment. These positions, again, are funded very differently from regular positions. And so only 20% comes from the general fund, and that's really important to keep in mind. So it's a win-win proposition, basically, for the college as well as for the department. And these positions would be self-funded, essentially. So I kind of rushed through that because I was afraid to run out of time. I don't know if I have time for any questions.
You do. So you have about 1:30 now, and then you have an additional 2 minutes on top of that. So if anyone would like to ask you questions now, feel free. Senators, do we have questions for Linda?
I hope so.
Robin?
Yeah, Linda, just a quick clarification on the funding.
Yeah.
Because either your mic or my sound cut out just a little bit, but the categorical funding that we receive, is it calculated each year based on the number of students who test? And do we expect an increase based on testing?
Yeah, it's calculated on contacts, and LD testing counts as, even the initial interview, 2 testing sessions minimum, and the results session. So it's 4 or more.
So follow up, is the testing required to be conducted by a counselor? And
not a counselor, it has to be an LD specialist / DSPS counselor. And we had 3. We've always had 3, and the college has been committed to those positions. Although those are not required, they do provide funding that benefits. I mean, all of the consults that I've done with many of, I don't know if, some of you maybe, with that we do to help you guys, manage the accommodations, especially when we hit a snag.
So you're it right now. And
I'm it. So I was the perfect person to make this plea. It's really important because the testing function, the college has been testing for more than, maybe 25 years. Although it's not mandated, the counseling component is. So this hybrid position is really critical and unique. And we're committed to doing this. It would cost students sometimes up to $3,000 or more to get an assessment in the community. And if they have an LD, learning disability, and they're not identified, then they have no other access from an equity standpoint. And we also work with ESL students as well. I think you know that. You and I have worked together. We can't always test them, but we know how to look for learning disabilities and other kinds of disabilities like PTSD and all kinds of things, traumatic brain injury. We can refer out. So, and even non-credit, we're serving non-credit. So yeah, we're all over the place. Yeah.
You're all over the place.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks.
So other questions? Yeah, I'm out of time.
Yeah, there's only about 28 seconds left. So any other questions we have for you, the senators will put in the doc, and I will be sure to tag you. If you aren't tagged, then there aren't any questions for you. Does that sound good?
It sounds good. Thank you for listening so well, and good luck with the task at hand.
Yes, thank you so much, Linda. And we're all deeply so sorry again for the loss of Janet. Thank you for sharing that moment with us today. Okay, moving along in our presentation schedule, Up next is American Ethnic Studies. Dr. Tomas Carrasco is here. Tomas, I believe you are being made maybe a co-host. I texted Chris. She might not have seen it. Robbie, you're a host. Can you make Tomas?
It's okay. I'm going to just speak.
Oh, okay. You're going to just speak. Okay.
Yeah.
That works
Thank
too.
you so much, though.
So Tomas, I'm going to set the timer for 6 minutes. So you'll hear your 2-minute warning. Sound good?
Great. Thank you so much. Okay. How's everybody doing? Thank you for giving me the space. I just wanted to start out with one of the major reasons why we're asking for this position is that we're very excited to be Santa Barbara City College has the highest courses that have been approved in regards to Area F. Area F is a new requirement for Cal State University system where students will be required to take an ethnic studies course. So I'm talking about African American studies, Asian American studies, Latino, Latina, Chicano studies, and Native American studies. With that in mind, I wanted to keep ahead of the demand. Currently, our department, we are doing very, very well with enrollment due to the fact that we, Ethnic Studies 101, Chicano Studies 101, and Black Studies 101 counts as a social science requirement, humanities, and now a history requirement. So in regards to serving students, ethnic studies is very, very advantageous for our students in regards to general education. I wanted to touch on the concepts of diversity, equity, and inclusion. In regards to these concepts, ethnic studies is studying a live culture. And this, we focus in on African Americans, Asian American, Latino, Chicanos, Native Americans, and just in regards to, what is equity? And equity starts with including people, right? So we're dealing with teaching agreed populations from just the very fact of like, what is Chumash culture? How can we live? How is Santa Barbara City on these bluffs? And what does it connect? How does it historically connect to Chumash people? Chicanos, Chicanas, Latinos, Latinas, Latinx. There's 50 million Latinos in the United States, and by 2050 there'll be 100 million Latinos. So especially in the state of California, just to learn this population and why it's growing so rapidly. And just generally speaking, I just wanted to emphasize that, I teach history of racism. And in this class, it's a perfect example. One of the assignments that we do is an ethnography. I have my students interview the oldest living relative in their family, and then we present it to the class. And it's literally a performance of Americana to see people from Europe, Asia, Chicanos, Native Americans, African Americans, all give their stories. Again, focusing on the concept of diversity and then inclusion, just to be able to include these agreed populations that have not been included in the American education system is really, really exciting. Again, we're dealing with a live culture, American culture in regards to these ethnicities. And again, ethnic studies is not about just interpreting culture and politics and social sciences, but creating a culture of emancipation that we wish would exist, right? In regards to, again, I want to really focus on historically contextualizing the African American, the Chicano, the Asian American, the Native American. How am I with time, Rand?
You're at 2 minutes, 37 seconds for your 2-minute warning. So 4 minutes, 30 seconds total.
Okay, and then I just also wanted to include the concept of race, class, and gender. And our goal is to, develop a global citizen. And so again, Santa Barbara City College, we have one of the best American Ethnic Studies departments in the nation, just in regards to what we offer, AA degrees in Ethnic Studies, Chicano Studies, Black Studies, and Native American Studies, and I'm also working on offering certificates in Chicano Studies, Black Studies, and Ethnic Studies for our students. Again, one of the major reasons why we're asking for this is because there's only 2 tenured track professors in Ethnic Studies, and I have like 5 adjuncts, and having another full-time tenured track the best case scenario would be somebody that have expertise in Asian American studies and Native American studies. Our Black studies, Chicano studies, and ethnic studies are pretty strong, but we need work on our Asian American studies and our Asian American studies and our Native American studies. So if we would get this position, I would ask for the hire to have area of expertise in those areas. Again, thank you so much. I think that's pretty much what I really wanted to focus in on: diversity, equity, and inclusion. And the ethnic studies is a performance of these three elements. And I just want to thank every EOPS, the counselors. You all are amazing in regards to putting students, having us at par with, that was one of my dreams, right? To having us at par with sociology, psychology, history. And I really feel like we're there in regards to the students, the diverse students that take ethnic studies and learn about other cultures, right? So that was one of my best experiences when I went to UC Berkeley and I took an Asian American studies class, and I was able to learn the difference between Koreans, Japanese, Chinese, etc. Hopefully students are learning the history of Santa Barbara in regard to Chumash culture, Chicano culture, Mexican culture, etc. So that's pretty much what I wanted. Again, the major point is that we only have 2 tenure track professors, and we have like 5 adjuncts. And so with a new tenure track, it would just strengthen our department overall in regards to programming, curriculum development. And as you see in my last 6 or 7 years, I have these amazing conferences from Santa Barbara City College that are pretty much viewed from all over the state. So thank you very much.
Cool. Thank you, Tomas. There's just under 2 minutes. Does anybody have a question for Tomas?
So is that a yes? No, I'm joking. No, totally joking, y'all.
Go ahead, Jenny.
She's muted. You're muted, Jenny.
Tomas, it's so awesome how ethnic studies is fulfilling this new requirement, so many of our courses. Can you speak to how your department is meeting that demand, or how much the demand has increased, and how that plays into a potential need for another position?
We have I have a huge overload. Craig has a huge overload, and Melinda Gandara pretty much acts like a tenure track. She's been taking up a lot of the load, and that's the other part too. We really have developed a Chicano art program with the museums, and so it's we've been doing overloads. Thanks, Jenny, for that question. We've been doing overloads. And what I would love to develop, I've been developing Chicano studies and ethnic studies, new classes and stuff. I would really love to develop, we really need to develop Asian American studies and the Native American studies in general. Thank you, Jenny.
Thanks, Tomas. There's just under 20 seconds, so not really time for another question, but we have that shared Google Doc, and if anybody has a question for you, I'll be sure to tag you in it.
Okay, when do we find out if we get this position or not?
So the way this works is Senate is hearing presentations this week. Next week, the following week, we will rank, and then our rankings get forwarded to the superintendent president. So they make the final decision. So end of October-ish.
And how many positions will be awarded? Do we know?
We don't know.
No. Okay. Thank you so much, Rayanne. Appreciate all your time. Thank you.
Tomas. Okay, library is next. Sally is here with us, but Sally, it's my understanding that I am bringing up that the link for your YouTube video, correct?
That's correct. Thank you.
Yeah, bring that up right now. And while I show this and share my screen, oh wait, Sally, were you gonna show it and share your screen, or am I showing it?
I thought you were going to show it.
Okay, I'm gonna, everybody, just so that you know, I'm turning off my camera so that bandwidth isn't an issue for me. Share screen.
So while Rayanne is doing that, I just want to thank everybody for the opportunity to present here. And I have made a video so that you can watch it. And if you have any questions, then you can put it in the Google Doc. Thank you. The library is one of the busiest places on campus. Even with the pandemic closure last spring, approximately 384,000 people visited the library from August 2019 to March 2020, which is about 15,000 people per week. The new library website, which went live in January 2020, had more than 120,000 page views. During the last academic year, students, faculty, and staff accessed more than 275,000 ebooks and e-journals. We reach approximately 9% of all students each year with formal course-based instruction and field reference questions from many more. We need another librarian to reach more students. This is based on the list of 20 peer colleges included in our written position request with the addition of Southwestern College. These data represent the total librarian FTE to FTES to allow for comparison to Ed Code standards and national data. Full-time librarian FTE to FTES data for our peer colleges is in our written request and will appear on a later slide. In spring 2019, the Academic Senate for California Community Colleges adopted a position paper titled "The Role of the Library Faculty in the California Community College." That position paper affirms the minimum standards for librarian to student ratio that are identified in Title V, Section 58724 of the California Code of Regulation, stating that, quote, colleges should employ sufficient members of full-time library faculty to allow for participation in college, regional, and state governments, as well as in professional development and professional organization activities without disruption of library service to the college, end quote. Our current 3 full-time librarians is not sufficient. The position paper also states that, quote, libraries should, whenever possible, ensure that library faculty and staff reflect the cultural, racial, and ethnic diversity of the community served, end quote. Our faculty and staff currently does not reflect our community. According to the American Library Association State of America's Libraries 2019, the national average for librarian to student ratio at community colleges is 1,000 students lower than at SBCC. Each SBCC librarian serves nearly 3 times as many students as our peer in the top quartile and nearly twice as many as the minimum standard set by Ed Code. We rank 18th out of 20 peer colleges for total librarian FTE to student ratio and 17 out of 20 for full-time librarian FTE to students. Even with the replacement position, SPCC's full-time librarian to student ratio would be at the very bottom of the 3rd quartile among our peers, tied with 14th place out of 20. Ithaca SNR research report co-author Daniel Cooper says, there is the reality that actually many libraries are performing what I would call a triage-like function. They are directing students to the services and resources they need that go far beyond what you would typically think of the library, if you're having a very narrow definition around that. And this is a really important function that needs to be recognized more and likely developed more. It is where the academic library really can be a valuable partner across the campus. Libraries and librarians play an important role in student success. When the college transitioned to fully online learning in March 2020, the library continued to serve students through the library's live chat, email, text messaging, and Zoom research appointment. The academic reference questions asked when our academic support services were entirely online more than doubled. In 2019-2020, 30% of those interactions involved academic reference questions. Last academic year, 81% of those interactions involved academic reference questions. In addition to teaching individual students through reference interactions, We provide research and information literacy instruction to dozens of individual course sections. We also held workshops on topics such as disinformation and fact-checking. But we are only scratching the surface of optimal student interaction at a time when developing information literacy is crucial for navigating the rapidly changing online information landscape and proliferation of disinformation. We want to support the college's various equity initiatives, but we cannot systematically reach our underrepresented students who are most in need of library services in order to succeed in college. When trying to build ongoing relationships with every instructional department and with departments that serve underrepresented students, there needs to be a deliberate and continued effort. Before March 2020, we worked closely with EOPS, ESL, Running Start, Spark, Student Athletes, and Transitions, just to name a few. Some of the services we were able to provide to these groups of students were library orientation, study spaces, story time, and specific research guides such as hunger and homelessness, LGBTQIA, and military veterans. Without a full-time librarian, we won't be able to sustain these outreach efforts. With the recent initiative to examine our curriculum through the lens of diversity, equity, and inclusion, the library needs a thorough review and removal of outdated materials and purchase of appropriate replacement of print and online resources to better reflect this shift in curricular development. Currently, collection development is managed by the department chair, who cannot keep pace with the improvements needed and the time required to plan, select, and purchase the vital resources we need. Our interactions with students are at the heart of our library program and where the tone of student-librarian relationships is established. With one less librarian, we are limited by available faculty who must share the load of teaching and limited by available faculty time to explore and implement the varieties of innovative ways we could instruct and support our students, particularly in an online environment. Outreach efforts and collection development cannot be done piecemeal. Cultivating ongoing relationships with other departments needs to be a concerted effort. We cannot achieve this with part-time faculty. In order to serve students well, all librarians need to be familiar with the wealth of information available in library databases and on the internet, as well as the details of assignment expectations for dozens of different courses each semester. Part-time faculty who work for us periodically don't have the opportunity to be deeply familiar with the library resources and students' needs. Among our part-time faculty in Santa Barbara area, they lack recent pedagogical training and their irregular schedules afford them fewer opportunities to develop ongoing relationships with students throughout the semester.
Okay, thank you so much for that. So the library is requesting, I believe, let's see, one position. And so that was the 8-minute mark. So Sally, we will have senators put our questions for you in the shared Google Doc and then tag you if any questions come up. Does that sound good?
That sounds good. Thank you, Ryan, and thank you, everybody.
Okay, so now we're moving on to fine arts. So we have one pre-recorded presentation and a timed one. So Armando, am I showing the pre-recorded one first and then the spoken one with the slides?
Yeah, can I do mine first? Is that possible?
Sure. Do you want me set? So is it 6 minutes and 6 minutes? Is that how you're divvying up the time?
We'll see how it goes. I'll keep it tight, but
Okay.
all right. And also can I control the slides? Can you share with me and I'll
Yep.
turn it on?
Let me make you a do you want me to keep track for you so that you know?
I got it.
Okay. All right, cool. All right. You are now co-host, so you should be able to share. And take it away when you're ready.
right, guys, can you see it clearly? Everything's cool? Can you hear me? Is
Yes.
it okay? And you can see the slides or?
Yep.
Okay, all right, cool. Thank you, everybody. My name is Armando Ramos. I'm presenting for the art department. Here's my crew, Stephanie Washburn and Chris Relivo. Team Art here representing. How are you doing? So we want to talk about the ceramics program. We're in need of, we had a recent faculty, Christopher Bates, retired last year. And we are looking to replace that position for a full-time ceramics professor. The department is kind of divided up into disciplines, and each instructor kind of focusing on a different discipline as we're kind of working. So we have these specialized spaces and equipment that kind of goes with each one of those instructors as we're kind of going. Specifically, ceramics, it's a pretty vast and developed program. Ceramics has a long history here in Santa Barbara City College and in Southern California. Honestly, it's a really strong kind of history. And the two previous instructors have kind of been, leaders, kind of adding to that thread for the last, I don't know what, 56 years between the two of them. And so we're looking to continue that strength or that rigor that's kind of happening here, as we've been part of it, Santa Barbara City College. So we have a vast amount of throwing, pottery section in the studio, large kilns that are part of that kind of historical development of the facility, salt kilns, environmental kilns, test kilns, electric kilns, gas kilns. So a lot of different equipment that supports experimenting and building, not just pottery, but sculpture, hand building, cast, slip cast work, a variety of different kind of methods or approaches to working within the discipline of ceramics. We're really excited to have that, and having the facility right here next to the ocean is a big, wonderful thing to attract students. That students really enjoy that kind of outdoor space that they can kind of like work and just kind of be part of that kind of shared community of creativity that kind of happens in the art department. This is the back end of the humanities building. So this is kind of like between printmaking, ceramics, and sculpture. So it's a great kind of, I don't know what, kind of back and forth that kind of happens between all those different spaces. And ceramics is the heart of that process just kind of happening within that environment. So we're excited about continuing that, supporting that, and just adding to that as the time goes on. If you're not really, know a lot about ceramics, I guess most of us, our experience with ceramics is maybe dishes or cups you have at home, or probably your toilet and your sink. Those are probably the most intimate parts that we probably enjoy as part of ceramics. But a big part of ceramics is not just the clay and the making and kind of squishing and throwing things on the wheel, but it's like understanding material, understanding raw material. How does it function? How does it work? As well as dealing with the surfacing. So the chemistry of it, dealing with the chemistry lab, going through the various fritzes, silicas, feldspars, different minerals and items that are used to like in combination to create the surfaces of the ultimate objects that the students create and experiment. And all that's part of that learning process of like, not just imagining or deciding what you want to design and create, but also like, how does this thing function and how do we deal with the actual surfacing and understanding of those materials? So that's all part of that learning process for our students that we're able to share with them or add to the curriculum that we do here at SBCC. This is an image of the facilities there. So the table there has kind of a series of raw materials kind of below it, similar to like a large, lab. And then on the left is a series of kind of raw materials and minerals that the students kind of add and mix to create works. The pieces on the wall are tiles that just kind of represent test tiles that students have created over several years of experimenting. And then you can see some of the different buckets and bins where students are kind of working, creating some of the other work. So if you've taken ceramics, most people's ceramics in other institutions, this type of lab doesn't really exist. It's more like, like Oscar Mayer, Wiener hot dog ceramic studio, where it's like, here's the bucket, you open it up, pour the yellow on, bam, there you go, yellow. So there isn't a lot of that kind of interaction of what is in that yellow thing that I just kind of poured out. So the actual experience that we have, the wherewithal, the organization, the facility, and the support here to do that just adds to the depth of knowledge and experience that we can add to our students as they move through our program. Other programs that have this are larger four-year institutions like Cal State Long Beach, UCLA, SF State. Berkeley ceramics program, I would not say is as robust as ours. You know, some of the community college, smaller community colleges in the Bay Area have some, you know, they're kind of meeting us, but I gotta tell you, SBCC, like always, way ahead of we're like this, how you doing? So representing there in the ceramics area. So this is some of our studios and we're kind of working. So really kind of supporting the program. And how are we doing this? Right now, we don't have a faculty. So like, how is this happening? Who's managing the space? How are we going to kind of keep this going? How's it happening right now? This guy. He's making it happen with his partners, and they're stepping in, they're moving in. We're creating the curriculum, we're updating the curriculum, we're working to maintain the facility, we're teaching the classes, we're hiring the adjuncts, we're managing the adjuncts, we're running a program. These guys, all of us jumping in there to make this thing happen all together. And it's kind of happening, and we're all face to face this semester in ceramics. So how is this happening? We do have a couple of adjuncts that we hire. We have 3 adjuncts currently that we have coming in, and they're coming from the faraway land of Los Angeles. Got a couple more seconds to go. So I just want to talk about just like we're back. We're really pushing hard to bring back the students. The studios are full. We're really excited. All sections of ceramics are full. So there is a desire, there is a grasp, and you can see all these beautiful people that are just kicking it here in ceramics studio. So all the things that we attend these allies and we're kind of growing and learning, it's all happening right here in the ceramics studio. Be well, live hard, vote ceramics.
Armando, can you, oh, perfect. All right. So we'll move on to continuation.
Joy Kuntz, and I teach Western art history. I'm representing the art department's request to replace our non-Western art history faculty position. Art history is an important subject area in the education of community-minded citizens. So here's a note on what art history does. Art history expands knowledge and appreciation of racially diverse forms of art produced over time from around the world. Art history educates students to think with informed historical perspective about art within its cultural context. The discipline of art history draws focus to the psychologies, religions, identities, economies, technologies, and philosophies in visual culture. This collage suggests this range of subjects and art covered in our courses from around the world, ancient to contemporary. Art history is an SBCC 50-year tradition of seeing the world. Here are some facts for you to consider in choosing to continue this tradition by voting to replace our non-Western art historian. Art history courses fulfill general education subject area requirements at CC and have a 92% fill rate. All art history courses are UC and Cal State transferable. Art history courses and series courses fulfill requirements for 9 different majors at SBCC. Art history is part of the honors program here, and art history offers an AA degree for transfer and a certificate program that prepares students for careers in galleries, museums, and education. The department won't be able to meet the demand for courses without a replacement position. Here's an additional important consideration. At CC, art history and studio art are combined in one department, and we have achieved a synergistic balance. Two art history instructors, 1 Western art and 1 non-Western art specialist, represented by the elephants here, provide a platform for 5 studio art laboratories: drawing, painting, ceramics, printmaking, and sculpture. They're represented by the ballerinas on the tight wire. We'd like to preserve this synergistic balance. The art department has achieved this balance between higher enrollment art history courses and capped enrollment laboratory art courses to achieve a wish to FTEF of 449, above the department average at CC. Our FTES to FTEF balance depends on 2 full-time art historians. Now retired Dr. Larson offered instruction to an annual average of 800 students for the art department. For comparison, 5 studio art instructors together bring approximately the same number of students through the art department annually. Consequences of abandoning the balance? We drop the ratio of FTES to FTEF, drop the wish to FTEF. The art department cannot support its art studio laboratories through internal department enrollment balances. SBCC loses money, efficiency, and we cede students taking general education classes in art history to other institutions. We'd like to preserve and expand our multicultural range of courses. Please rank this position high so that we can offer education and critique across an array of world art. In moving towards more racial equity and representation in education, it is imperative to expand student exposure to a variety of cultural and aesthetic standards and offer courses that mirror the racial diversity of our students. With this replacement, SBCC will have one of the most racially diverse and robust art and art history programs in the California community college system. Our goal is to secure, expand, and update our non-Western course offerings with this replacement position. Please deliver STEAM-powered education now. Align SBCC's emphasis on racial diversity and equity with diverse course offerings. A robust course selection in non-Western art history puts action behind our mission statement. Balance the focus on science, technology, engineering, and math by maintaining arts faculty and course offerings. STEAM now. And commit to education that is racially diverse and balanced by replacing this non-Western art history faculty position. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your presentations, Fine Arts. That's the 12-minute mark. So any questions that senators have for you, they will be put in the shared Google Doc.
Thank you, Rand. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Committee, appreciate it.
And now we'll be moving on to health information technology. And Shauna Sweeney provided a recording. I'm going to bring that up now and share my screen again. Okay. Let's see, share my screen.
Hi, I am Shauna Sweeney. I am the department chair of HIT-CIM, and we today are seeking one replacement position for our department. HIT stands for Health Information Technology. CIM is Cancer Information Management. Our department is made up of 4 programs. Cancer Information Management, we have a degree and a certificate option both. Our Health Information Technology program is an associate degree program. Our Medical Coding Specialist and our Healthcare Data Analytics are both certificate options. All of our programs have national exams that students can sit for upon completion of their program. This position is to replace Janet Robertson, who retired in June of 2021. We currently have 3 full-time faculty members. Lynette Williamson is serving as a one-year temporary contract for this academic year to maintain adherence with our accreditation body, that we have to have 2 full-time faculty members, which I'll go over in just a moment. We also do have 17 adjunct faculty members. We had in fall of 2020, 724 students that had declared HIT CIM majors. Most of our students are California residents, 97%, but we do also have students in 13 other states. So we have students all over the country. In fall of 2020, we had 679 unique students occupying 1,208 seats in our classes. So a lot of the students enrolled in our classes have not yet declared a major or have not changed their major to one of ours. And we also do have students in other programs that take our lower level classes, such as medical terminology, pharmacology, classes like that. In fall of 19, our percent of adjunct TLUs was up to 62.5. That was up from 48% in the fall of 2017. And that's when we had 4 full-time faculty members, which was an ideal number. 10 of our courses are taught exclusively by adjunct faculty members. So it is an accreditation requirement of the HIT program that any full-time faculty member or program director does have an RHIT or RHIA credential in order to be part of the program. This position, Janet's replacement, will complete all HIT accreditation requirements, such as our annual report. Our accreditation will be in jeopardy if Janet is not permanently replaced. Standard 16 of PAHM, which is our accrediting body, states a minimum of 2 full-time individuals must be dedicated to the program, a program director and a full-time faculty member. Currently, this academic year, I am the full-time faculty member. Lynette Williamson is serving as a program director and also, a faculty member. This position also trains, evaluates, and leads adjuncts. So as you saw previously, we have a lot of classes that are just taught by adjuncts, but the full-time faculty members, we are the ones that are responsible for maintaining the curriculum, doing the course updates for all of those courses. Our courses, because the healthcare industry is changing so rapidly, have to be updated on a continual basis. And we also need to continue to adhere to the curriculum of CAHM. They tell us exactly what we need to be teaching in all of our courses, and we need to follow that. If we lose our accreditation, we will not be an accredited program. Therefore, when students graduate from our program, they would not be able to sit for the national exam, the RHIT. That is a requirement for most jobs in the industry. So if students could not sit for the RHIT upon completion of our program, they simply would choose another program that was accredited and not enroll at SBCC. We have a premier reputation in the industry. We consistently, for many years, have had over a 90% pass rate on that RHIT exam. And to give you a little perspective, the national range always is in the low 70s. Another important part of this position is to teach our capstone or our practicum class. That is when students go out to a hospital and complete hours on the job, on site at a hospital. So that requires this position to have contracts with all of the hospitals for each student. That is about 30 to 40 each semester. They have to then make sure every student adheres to the facility requirements, such as background check, drug screen, things like that. It's also important that this position markets the HIT program at state and national conventions. It's important to network and maintain our reputation and attract new students. Current full-time faculty, we're all on overload and we all manage programs. So Janet managed the HIT program for many, many years. Lynette has taken that over for this academic year so we could continue our accreditation. And I manage the medical coding specialist and the healthcare data analytics program, and Shirley manages the CIM. So we all have a very big workload on top of teaching classes. As I said, the healthcare fields are growing, changing constantly, so that curriculum needs to be updated. And also the expected workforce demand is going to increase in all of these fields. Another piece that attracts students is many of the jobs in all of our programs allow their employees to work remotely. So that attracts a lot of students to these fields as well, especially in the current world that we're in. All of our programs have rigorous accreditation and approval processes that need to be done every single year. Our accrediting body does require course caps be lower in specific courses, especially our coding courses, which our HIT students also take our coding classes as well, but that is very specific requirements that need to be met. So therefore, the caps they require to be lower. Our 3 full-time faculty are completing the Race Equity Impact Project this academic year. None of our adjuncts signed up, I assume because of their workloads. So the full-time faculty, we will need to do some training and make necessary course improvements to the courses, even the ones that we do not teach. So in conclusion, we need to locate someone with an RHIT, RHIA credential. That is an accreditation requirement. The HIT program director needs to be a full-time faculty member. We cannot leave that to an adjunct. And our accreditation will be in jeopardy if we cannot maintain this CAHIM standard that says a minimum of 2 full-time individuals dedicated to the program, a program director, and a faculty member. And lastly, the HIT CIM department, all of our programs provide skilled graduates right into the workforce at great wages. Thank you for your time today.
Excellent. So similar to other positions and presentations, that one was at the 8 minutes, which is the limit for one position request. So Shauna, we have a shared Google Doc. Senators can put questions in there to ask you. If I'll tag you if that happens so that you can answer. And if you don't receive a tag, then questions weren't in there for you. Sound good?
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks for coming today and talking with us. Okay. All right. So next will be computer science. And I see that Natalie's here. Has she been made a co-host?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep, I'm making you a co-host now. I assume you'd like to screen share, is that true?
Yes, please.
So you get 12 minutes because you are requesting 2 positions. I'm gonna set a timer for 10 so that you get a, like basically a 2-minute warning. Does that make sense?
That makes sense, thank you.
Yep, all right, go ahead and go.
Okay, everybody can see my slides? Okay, hi everyone, my name is Natalie Gebels. If you don't know me, I'm the department chair for computer science. Today I'm here to propose 2 tenure track positions for our department. One is again a replacement position for Dean Evans, who left in 2019 to pursue a position in administration. Everybody should know him, I believe, and also a new position. So first I wanted to kind of give you an idea of who takes computer science courses. We have, of course, computer science and computer engineering majors, and they usually plan to transfer. And along the way, they complete their associates or associates to transfer degree. That associates to transfer degree is just launched this year, so I'm very excited about that. We also have a certificate, and we also have a lot of other majors, related and emerging majors that come and take a course in our department that is required for transfer. And I listed a bunch here that are part of those majors. So we have not just computer science and computer engineering majors. And then we have a lot of undecided students, a lot of local and promise students that come and take our courses, and some local professionals as well. We have a lot of, all our sections are always full and full wait lists and high demand. So When you look at the fill rates, we're very close to 100%. And when you look at spring, it's even higher than 100%, meaning that we are accepting people off the wait list, and a lot of students that only require 1 or 2 courses for their major in computer science. So 2 computer science courses, they usually will wait till the last semester to take them. So that's, I think, why we see higher rates in spring. Now, how are we meeting this demand? Well, we're struggling right now. We're only 4 full-time faculty members, and that's the same number than in the early 2000s. And that, if you don't remember how it was back then, but we didn't have iPhones, we didn't have YouTube, we didn't have Facebook. So we haven't grown at all. We haven't really met that change in that high demand. I was the last full-time hire in 2017. And I just got tenured. So it's my first year tenured. It's my second year as department chair. We're a really small department. Dean Nevins left our department in 2019, and in fall 2018, he was teaching 5 courses, and he was teaching 3 of these courses were core courses. We have 9 core sequence courses, and currently we're just juggling, trying to find adjuncts to cover those courses. This fall, we have 3 adjuncts teaching. One of them is a new adjunct that's teaching an overload. In the spring, we'll have 5 adjuncts. And if you look at our adjuncts, we only really have 1 adjunct that has taught for us for longer than a year. So there's really no room for critical courses that could bring opportunities that we have on the catalog, such as Android programming, iOS programming. We haven't been able to teach these courses since Dean left. And we had to reduce our core sections. In the fall 2020, we were down 5 core sections. If you think about equity in any course, it requires consistency in teaching. So if we constantly are changing who teaches these core courses, we just are struggling trying to work towards improving equity in those courses as well. So why is it so difficult to hire adjuncts? You need a master's in computer science, very difficult because even just with a bachelor's degree, you can make a lot of money, and the starting salary is very high. And after a couple of years, you make a lot of money. So our adjuncts usually have full-time jobs. We lost 4 of them in 2019, 2020, because they were focusing on their full-time jobs. In 2020, 2021, last year, lost another adjunct that had been with us for a little bit. And so now we are really only left with 1 that has been around for longer than a year. And I replaced 4 adjuncts over the pandemic. So I haven't even met them in person. Only 1 of our adjuncts, as I said, has been with us for longer than 1 year. Extremely difficult to find. It's extremely difficult to hire and retain adjuncts. And then you have to keep them up to speed with what teaching is all about sometimes. And it's really difficult. Nevertheless, our full-timers are trying to still focus on several efforts and initiatives because there is a lot of potential for growth. We just launched our Associates to Transfer degree, which is exciting because it will guarantee transfer to CSUs in the major, which is really difficult. We don't have a lot of tag opportunities for our students because computer science is so competitive. We are part of the Central Coast Data Science Partnership, a partnership with 4-year institutions to launch new pathways to successful transfer in majors such as data science. And I was able to launch our first data science course this fall, Data Science for All, and I'm very excited about it and very fortunate and lucky to be able to collaborate with mathematics to make that happen. So there's a lot of potential for growth there. We continue to try to collaborate with local high schools. We presented a virtual open house with last spring with Santa Barbara High, and some students shared their experience. And we constantly have to update our materials, develop new courses because of the fast moving high technology industry. And there's new courses that appear and new computing fields that appear at 4-year institutions. And if we want to bring these opportunities to our students, we need to keep up with this fast pace and keep up the curriculum and update our courses. And that success relies on full-time faculty involvement. It is really important to have more full-timers. Before the pandemic, we did a lot of community contributions, and I added a couple of students' success stories, such as our participation in Grace Hopper. We had a bunch of press releases before when we were still in person. And again, this happens because you have mentorship and guidance from full-timers that can spend time on these kinds of activities. We continued these activities virtually as well last year, and our team, SBCC CS team, participated in the Southern California programming competition and took first place. And this was under the guidance of our full-time faculty member, Stephen Strand. We had students participate in a summer immersive data science research experience. And 4 of our students, Paolo, Kaylin, Piero, and Angelica, were very excited to share their final poster presentation at the end of summer. And again, for such contribution success stories, we need full-time faculty, and we're just now trying to cover this as much as possible. I spend a lot of hours on Zoom. We have all of our courses synchronous or in person right now, except for one that was already online before. So we spend a lot of time with our students. There's also a lot of potential for growth. Here is just a little picture of how many promise students, SB promise students we have. We have about 19% in fall 2020, it was about 19% in computer science compared to 11% in SBCC overall. And that's exciting because those are local students, first to college, often underrepresented students. And we have about 32% Hispanic Latinx students and about 20% female students. And we really need full-time faculty members to support those promising students and devote time on equity issues and bring continuity and improvements to our core courses. And as much as I really appreciate our adjuncts and everything that they do, we need continuity in the courses, and that really cannot be achieved with the constant turnover of our adjuncts. So we are struggling, and this is just an example of an email I received from a student last spring. And the student said, I'm currently in my final semester at SBCC and I'm looking to transfer in the fall of 2021. And part of the contingency is that I complete my associates and I'm hinged on CS 107. Unfortunately, the waitlist has been full since the beginning of November. I didn't even have the opportunity to register for the class as it was already full the minute registration opened for me. I've been checking at least twice daily and have yet to see movement in the wait list. So students are taking longer to complete their associates or associates to transfer to a four-year university. So in summary, I'm asking for one replacement for Dean Evans, who left in 2019, and one new position to sustain the in-demand program that we have, associate transfer degree, we have certificates, the path and paths to transfer, but also to provide new opportunities for new emerging pathways, for really providing support where most needed for a growing, promising, and an underrepresented student population. And that means adding full-time faculty. If those positions are not filled, we'll just have to continue with less core sequence courses that are in demand. We'll have no room for critical courses such as Android and iOS programming, which would bring opportunities to students. And we will have to say no when people reach out to us for partnerships such as the data science, Central Coast Data Science Partnership that I'm currently participating in. Students will take longer, and that is just unfortunate. Yeah, that's all I have. Do I have time for questions?
There's about a minute 20 left, if anybody has a question. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing any. Last call, minute left.
Yeah, so otherwise I can share another story. So when I was talking about promise students, I've been mentoring through the faculty mentorship program, and one of my promise students, so I was talking about SB promise students, I was mentoring a promise student, and started in 2017, and he's just finishing up his bachelor's degree in computer science. He was first generation local Hispanic, and he's just very excited to finish his senior year at CSU Channel Islands. Another one of my students that I kept in touch with had to take a break last year because her brother was he was staying home, so she had to help her family and couldn't come back to USBCC, but I stayed in touch, and now I'm really excited to see her back in the program. And she's not quite sure if she wants to do computer science or data science or something in that genre, but we have a lot of those students that need full-time faculty support and mentorship. So I guess that's what I wanted to end with since I have another minute left. Thank you.
Yeah. Perfect, right on time. Thank you so much for that. Really appreciate it.
All right, I guess I have to stop sharing here. Here we go. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, everyone, we have one last presentation today. Jeff is with us. I will make him a co-host so that he can share his screen if he'd like. Just a correction in our narrative packet. It states that Marine Tech Diving is requesting 2 positions. They are actually only requesting 1. So Jeff will have 8 minutes for his presentation. I'll keep track, and I'll have my timer go off at 6 minutes to give you a 2-minute warning. And then at the end of 8 minutes, if there's time, we'll have a question and then move on from presentation. Sounds good? All right, so I'll set the 6-minute timer now and go ahead.
Thank you, Rayanne. And I apologize for the mistake about 2 positions. I went back and read my proposal, and I can see how that would be the case. So the mistake's all mine. I just took my vitamin here. It tells me it should improve my mental focus, upbeat mood, and clear my thinking. So hopefully I won't make an idiot out of myself. Today, my name is Jeff Tilst. I'm the director of the Marine Diving Technologies Department, which is a position that I've held for 12 years. I've been at the college for 22 years, and sorry about the lighting. It's nothing I can do about it. For 22 years, and this is the first time we've ever requested a replacement position since I've been here. So thank you for allowing me to share with you my request today. Hang in there, you got about 7.5 minutes and you're all done. I wanted to share with you a little bit about the history of Marine Diving Technologies. We were founded and funded in the fall of 1968 with National Sea Grant funding. And over the years, our 50-some years now, we've become very well established, and we're very tightly linked to both the Santa Barbara maritime community, which is very rich. I get an opportunity to go to the Maritime Museum. You'll see a lot of really cool stuff, as well as the international maritime community. And our founding objectives, when I became the director and was cleaning out the files of the past director, I found some of our founding documents. And it says the objective of our program is to train technicians to assist in general operations aboard ship and to assist scientists and engineers in oceanographic and commercial marine enterprises. So, it's kind of training. What do we do? We're audited by both there's no accreditation for commercial divings. We're audited by authoritative bodies, both internationally and national. And we were instrumental in developing the American national standards. It has our hands all over it. People think of us as training exclusively commercial divers, and that's not true. We train that, there's peripheral fields all wrapped around us completely. And so many of our students go on, many of them go on to commercial diving, but many of them go on to become vessel crews, crane operators, riggers, fabricators, marine mechanics, hydraulic technicians. We have students working all over the world in public aquariums for repair and maintenance, public safety divers. Several of the UC scientific diving program, their diving safety officers are our graduates. And then if you read my proposal or my document, you'll see a cool picture of one of our students in an astronaut suit working for NASA. We have a couple of our students working there as well. We, we're a hands-on program. It doesn't work for us online that well. So we came back face-to-face in fall of last year, and knock on wood, we've had no incidents of corona, and hopefully we won't. But we're somewhat the face of the college right now, and face-to-face, or now more and more programs are coming onto the campus, but we were here the whole time. So why am I before you now, asking for a position? And so, there were 4 full-time faculty when I got here, and there was 4 full-time faculty all before I got here, and we've shrank down to 2 full-time. Well, there was 4 full-time faculty, 2 adjunct, and 3 lab techs. We have a lot of equipment that we have to keep up and running. And, anyone that's been at the college as long as I have has been through these cycles, up and down cycles of budgetary woes. And we're just, maybe, hopefully we're coming out of one now. But we have shrunk down to 2 full-time faculty, 3 part-time faculty, and 1 lab tech. We're just stretched to the limits. We can't keep doing it this way. The scope of our duties remain exactly the same as when we were a much larger department. It's just our resources have declined. And when that happens, you defer maintenance. Well, we're a microcosm of the college. You have to put things off. There's just things that you can't do anymore. And for us, it's life or death. So, I feel like we really need some help here. We have 3 full-time adjunct. They're fantastic adjunct, but I need to be, and we all need to be, sensitive to the fact that we can't ask adjunct to do the peripheral work that we full-timers do. We have all this exotic equipment. You should come down and check it out sometime. And due to the esoteric nature of our discipline, it requires specialized skills to maintain that. It's not fair for me to ask my adjunct to come in and work on a helmet or work on a compressor or whatever. And just Dan and I, we can't keep up with it. I can't call a service technician to come in and do this kind of work. We don't have that kind of thing in this community. I don't think they have them in any kind of community. So we really need a 3rd position. We maybe one day will ask for a 4th so that we're able to spread out that work and do that work ourselves. Another thing is, it's very challenging to find a qualified adjunct instructor. Anyone in our business, as one of the previous presenters said, they're going to have a full-time job and they're probably going to be making fairly good money. And we're on the modular system, so we have 8-week sections. How many people are going to say, hey, you know what, Jeff? I will guarantee you I'm here for 8 weeks, starting at 6:30 in the morning and finishing at 5. And then work around that with it can't happen. It just doesn't happen that way. So we're a little bit desperate. I'm gonna bring up kind of the elephant in the room a little bit. I'm probably a very poor negotiator doing this, But it's wish per FTF, and I will admit right now that we are low. We have always been low. We always will be low. The college, that's their gauge, 525, 425, whatever it is, and we're going to be well below that. But there's reasons for it. And, a college is not just purely academic. There's CTE involved, and CTE it's part of the vital mission of the community colleges. And the CTE programs tend to run lower student teacher ratios, but just by the nature of the work that we do. So one reason is health and safety. You try keeping track of 16 divers underwater all by yourself. You try to keep track of that many people doing this stuff or showing them this little piece and how it works with a, specimen camera. It just doesn't work.
Jeff, I'm so sorry. Your 8 minutes is up.
Really? Well, that was fast. Thank you very much for allowing me the opportunity to speak with you.
Thanks so much. Really appreciate it. And I don't know if you heard me tell the other presenters, we have a shared Google Doc where senators can put in questions that they might have for you. And if there's a question for you, I'll tag you in it so that you have an opportunity to give information back.
Thank you. I welcome your questions and thank you for your time.
Awesome. Good seeing you today.
Yes, ma'am. Bye-bye.
Thank you. All right, so we have 2 weeks of presentations. That is all of the presentations that we will hear this week. We'll come back again next week and finish out our presentations. And so now we'll move on to item 9.1, which is our action item around the proposed constitutional revisions that came from our ad hoc committee. So let me share my screen very quickly. And I think it's important to say thank you. Okay, hold on. Okay, I'll cut it for you. I think it's really important to thank Ana Garcia and Ellen Carey for such a heavy lift on the constitutional revisions, and also having them share them out last week. I can't cut and talk at the same time. I'm having a hard time concentrating. So thank you to both of them. And the Senate's job today, because we already approved the petition for the suggested revisions, is to review the constitutional document for clarity and content so that can be shared out with the faculty body, as well as review the amendment documents to make sure that all of, I can't be a robot right now, Franny, to make sure that amendment document, it includes the specific arguments so that people understand what the different amendments are for. So I need to be a robot for a second, so I'm going to mute myself. Is there somebody that would like to start this action item off for us? And Ellen and Anna, if I forgot to say anything important, please feel free to jump in and help me. Anna, you want to go?
I was just going to ask, so we can move to approve the proposed edits?
Yeah, I think what would make most sense and might be most expedient is to do two separate motions in case there's wordsmithing that needs to be done on either document. It just my, I might be wrong in that, but in my mind, it's so easy to approve them separately and discuss them one by one. So Anna's right. If somebody ready to make a motion to accept the proposed changes in the Constitution.
And I'm just gonna say, I think it would, does it matter? I think it'd be good if it wasn't me or Ellen, but I'm happy to make that motion if nobody else wants to.
I agree, Anna. I think it's cleanest if it comes from somebody else, of course. So if there's a senator that has reviewed them and is comfortable making this motion, now would be a great time to do so.
I move to approve.
Thank you, Robin. Robin has made a motion to approve the suggested constitutional changes. So just so we're all clear on this motion, this is not to approve the changes and have our constitution be changed. This is a motion to approve the changes to be shared out to the faculty body for a vote and a plenary and consideration. So we have a motion on the table.
I'll second the motion. It's Robbie.
Okay, thank you, Robin and Robbie. At this time, is there any discussion on approving the constitutional changes, the revision document? If there's not, we can just move to a vote. Okay, so there we go. Elizabeth?
Yeah, hi. So I can ask a clarifying question, or are we talking about the document now?
Yeah. You can ask a clarifying question. You can ask for an amendment to the motion. You can discuss.
Okay. So I did have a question about the wording of I'm sorry, I should have had my notes up before I raised my hand. So in Amendment 8 and 9, I was just confused because it says
we're not on that document, Elizabeth. We're on
I thought it.
We're doing them separately.
Yeah.
The motion, as I understood it, was approval of the constitutional, the actual constitution document with like all of the changes, not necessarily the wording of the amendments.
Oh, I'm sorry. So can we talk about that at some point, or are we not talking about that at all?
We're definitely going to talk about it. I suggested that we handle the two documents in two separate motions so that we could be quick on one or the other and then wordsmith each separately.
Okay, sorry.
It's all good. Ellen?
I was just going to say, in case this is helpful, Elizabeth, if your question has to do with what the summary document is referring to in the recommended changes of the Constitution, then it might make sense to look at them in the Constitution now while we're talking about the Constitution.
Good point, Ellen. Elizabeth?
I have several questions. So, I mean, I did have a question about how the summary document relates to the amendments that are there. So should I ask that now?
Sure, why don't we?
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. No.
Okay.
I'm not being dismissive. I'm saying, sure, let's do it. Yeah, I'm open.
Okay, well, it's just, I was looking at the summary document and it, in article, in Amendment 7, when it calls out article, I'm sorry, I'm really nervous. When it calls out Article 6, it does say that the Roberts Rules of Order stuff was removed, but there was other stuff that was changed in there too that wasn't called out in the summary document, I don't think.
So if you take a look at Amendment 1, where clarity, language, and grammatical updates are referenced, you'll notice that it just says changes throughout the Constitution. So there may be clarity, language, or grammatical updates in that section that aren't specifically being called out. But let's take a look at that article to make sure that is what is happening. So you're talking Article 6, sections 1 and 3.
Just 3 though.
Just 3.
Yeah, so in, so like letter E was like completely crossed out.
So that has to do with continuity of the other changes that are being suggested. So so if we go to like the voting, my baby just bonked her head. If we go to like the voting sections where we have like, what amendment is that? Oh, yeah, so Amendment 8, Article 4, sections B and C, Article 5, section 3, C, right? So edited to increase the part-time faculty representation in the Senate. So that was like, it was just like a style argument of like, that is another place where we're getting that. So it was removed there. But it's a style argument, so we can include it explicitly in our amendment document if you feel that it's not clear.
Okay, and then can I say one more?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, sorry. The other one was Article 6, Section 3, G. So it's with the proxy voting or whatever. The word legal was taken out. So like that kind of changes how the proxy voting is done. And I thought that might be important, but I don't know.
So I think the idea here is that if there's an obligation that is preventing your attendance versus like a legal obligation, like what is a legal obligation? Like you are literally in jail or you're under like court, what's the word? Like court ordered quarantine or something, versus like you work at another college and you have an obligation there and can't make it. So the idea there was just opening up that idea of voting by proxy. So like, what is a legal obligation, I guess is the question. And do we want to hold our faculty to only being able to vote by proxy when they're like in jail or under court ordered quarantine?
May I say the concern that was brought to me from someone? Or
yeah, sure. And Ellen and Anna can speak to this as well.
Yeah, I'm just bringing forth what was told to me, you know, as I'm supposed to. So the concern was that like people that aren't at the plenary like won't be hearing the arguments, and they could like give their proxy vote when they weren't like actually listening in the plenary and stuff. So that was the concern.
Can I jump in here? I don't think, or maybe if I'm missing something, you can let me know, but I don't think this changes that circumstance, the possibility of that circumstance. Unless I'm missing something related to that concern.
I guess the concern was just like, I don't know. If it's easier to get a proxy, you could like have somebody vote for you. I guess was the concern that was brought up.
Okay, so removing the word legal would make it easier to get a proxy. Okay, that helps clarify the concern. Thanks.
Okay, that's all the questions I had with relating the two documents. Sorry, thank you.
It's all good. So Elizabeth shared some concerns. Where are we at? Are we keeping legal or are we getting rid of it? what are we doing? Did she give you food for thought? Robbie?
I don't know why it would have to be a legal obligation that prevented one from attending. So I'm okay with it. We could maybe change it to professional obligation in case that, but then I'm not sure. I personally, I think it should stay the way it is.
I mean, if your kid's sick and you got to take him to the pediatrician and you have to miss the fall plenary.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
I mean,
Mom, where's my iPad?
Plugged in the living room, bud. Yeah, so I mean, the question is, do we want to limit votes by proxy, or do we want to be supportive of faculty that can't be there for professional or other obligations? Anna?
Yeah, I would definitely love to hear from more people again about the feedback related to this, but I wanted to just say that I think I'm in the camp of allowing as many people to voice what they can. I hear the concern about not being actively present in the meeting, but typically, and I'm sorry, I'm not recalling, so I'm asking for clarity here. When plenaries are announced, there's like an agenda, right? And like topics that are supposed to be covered that are announced ahead of time. So I also wonder, I guess I wouldn't give my proxy to someone that I didn't think would honor any previous discussion that I would have had with them and kind of told them this is where I'm landing on these things. So, you know, depending on, and this is why. So I guess I would hope that whoever I'm designating as my proxy would be somebody who would have good information from me to be able to make a decision that would align with whatever they thought I would want.
Elizabeth?
I just wanted to say that my main thing was like concern that it wasn't in the summary document. Also, I just think it might, I think it should be there.
We can certainly add it there.
Yeah.
Is there any more discussion on the proposed changes in the Constitution?
Oops.
Trisha?
Oh, sorry about that. I had a question about Article 5, Section 2, C1, about the part-time faculty not being able to be classified or have another job, I guess. And I understand, you know, you wouldn't want, say, maybe an administrator is also teaching a part-time class to be on the Senate necessarily, but does that mean that, for example, if I need to supplement my income and I'm working part-time in the, I don't know, Earth Science Department as a you know, clerical, that I would not be able to run for Senate?
It literally does. I think that not only would you want to limit administrators, you would also want to limit a staff position on the Senate.
So even if it's primary, the primary one would be your part-time faculty, but you're supplementing it somewhere else. It's like, that's not like your side job, I guess.
So if you have a side job on campus, we are saying that you cannot be a senator.
Okay, I don't know if that's going to be a concern in the future, but I just wanted to clarify that.
I would hope that the faculty senate would remain a faculty senate and that we would always limit participation from other groups in that way. We certainly don't have a role at CSEA, and we certainly don't have a role in other, you know, ALA, right? So faculty does not have a faculty only space. In fact, the other meetings aren't Brown Act committees and we are, right? So I am very much in the camp that we should be limiting other employee groups and types participation at the faculty senate, even if it's I need to supplement my income. If others feel differently, by all means, but I think that that is a very important point to be made for our faculty senate.
Okay.
Elizabeth?
Again, I just had a question for the times when it says, and I just want to say before I say this, thank you for doing what you did, because it took me like 5 hours to like read this thing, because I'm totally new to all this legal mumbo jumbo. Anyway, I had a question about when it says 20% of the full-time, part-time credit or part-time non-credit. It says that in Articles 8 and 9. So does that mean 20% of like everybody combined, or because the or is there, right?
Right. So,
Okay.
and that was very purposeful, because we want a lower barrier for there to be a call for this, not a higher barrier. And it's 20% of each different type of faculty group, so that, you know, I mean, non-credit part-time faculty might be mad about something or need something addressed. And so 20% of their body should be able to call for this. Yeah, so that was
Great. Thank you so much. That makes sense.
Any other comments, questions, or concerns? Anna?
I just want to say thanks to Elizabeth for taking the time to actually read through this, because Ellen and I also were just trying to get it done as, you know, solidly as possible with Ray's support. So thank you for taking the time to actually read through it and ask the questions, because it's a pretty big deal and we want as much input as possible from folks, because the Constitution doesn't change very easily. So if these changes go through, we don't want to have accidental errors in there.
Any other questions, comments, or concerns before we vote on approving this document? Oh, and by the way, we are at 5 o'clock, so we'll have to extend the meeting to get to the other document. Yeah, all right, roll call vote. Yes, no, or abstention on the approval of sharing out the proposed changes to the Academic Senate Constitution as posted and distributed. Benjamin Reyes.
Yes.
Counselor Jen?
Yes.
Ellen?
Yes.
Jenny?
Yes.
Joy?
Yes.
Dee Dee?
Yes.
Elizabeth?
Yes.
Kathy? Kathy O'Connor? Robin?
Yes.
Jess?
Yes.
Robbie?
Yes.
Ruth?
Yes.
Tara?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Trisha?
Yes.
And Anna? Yes. Okay, the motion passes. All right, so can I hear from someone to entertain, shoot, are we at quorum? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, we're still at quorum. Awesome. So can I entertain a motion to extend the meeting by 15 minutes so that we can finalize the other document?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call vote. Ben?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Ellen?
Yes.
Jenny?
Yes.
Joy?
Yes.
Dee Dee?
Yes.
Devana? No, that is the same person, quite literally. Elizabeth?
Yes.
Kathy? Robin?
Yes.
Jess?
Yes.
Robbie?
Yes.
Ruth?
Yes.
Tara?
Yes.
Russell?
No.
Trisha?
Yes.
And Anna. Okay, so our last document, all of it is ticked off about this meeting, you guys. All right, our last document. We have the summary document, and Elizabeth already brought up a couple of needed changes. So can we talk about those needed changes and then have an amendment to pass? So Elizabeth, do you have the suggestions for me?
Oh, I just wanted it to reference the change in Article 6, Section 3G in Amendment 7. And you said it's not needed to point out that Section E was taken out, or Section 3E was taken out?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Okay, which one, Elizabeth?
It's in the strikeout of oh my God, Article 6, Section 3E. And then just pointing out that the word legal was removed in Article 6, Section 3G. I also have a question about this document. May I ask?
Sure.
So is this supposed to like only highlight the changes, or is it supposed to be like, this is why we did this, like for your consideration as a voting person? Like what is the goal of this document?
The goal of this document is to create the different amendments so that if some changes are agreeable by the faculty body and some are not, that we can vote on them separately. It's also to summarize the changes because, you know, the Constitution is long and varied in different parts and all of that. So to summarize them. And then in my opinion, yeah, it offers some of the reasons why, right? Quote, arguments to be made. But that's really what the plenary is for. And that's why that's part of the amendment process of the Constitution. You pull faculty together, we're all in a room together for a discussion about the Constitution. We can, give arguments of why changes were made. People can say, I hate it, I love it. Why did you do that, right? And that's really the conversation piece before the voting gets done. So a little bit of everything we discussed, but mostly to summarize things for people. Okay, so help me out again, because that completely sidetracked me.
I'm sorry.
Article 6, it's okay. Article 6, Section 3, we took out E, right? So we want to change Article 6, Sections 1 and 3. So let me add that to one of the amendments up here. So that should probably go under here. E.
I think you can maybe, are you going to do them as separate instead of just adding E after C?
What?
Where you started typing Article 6, you could just add the letter E.
But
I think that we were going to put it there, Rayanne, right? Because that section
Here?
pertains to editing the increase to part-time faculty representation, right?
That is
to the right there though, right? Because it's, oh, sorry, I was looking at the wrong line. Never mind.
Oh, okay, so I did it. Okay.
Yes, continue, sorry.
Okay. No, it's okay. I'm just dyslexic editing in real time is just a real mind screw up for me. Okay. All right, so we got that one. And then the other one that you wanted highlighted, Elizabeth, that you thought was necessary was this idea of taking out the word legal.
You could just probably put that like next to the E, just like ENG or whatever. Right?
ENG.
Like where you put the E.
You mean here?
Because that pertains to kind of the same thing, right? Anna, do you agree? Or
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I'm not on it, but.
oh, sorry, whoever.
I do agree.
I have one more.
Well, okay.
Unless someone else wants to talk, I'm sorry.
Go for it.
So, and it's fine if you disagree with me, obviously. So there's 2 amendment 9s, is that, or?
Thank you for catching that.
Okay. And the last, I think this is my last one, is for that one, like, it's calling out like the changing and the voting in of the constitutions, but not the change that was that 20% thing that I was talking about. I didn't know if you thought that should go there as well.
So I might have misunderstood what you're asking. We were purposely keeping out the 20%. So there's slightly different things. So to bring up a plenary or to bring something to the Senate, if 20% of a body requests it, the Senate is obligated to act. That's different than this, which is part-time faculty can vote, but a minimum requirement of them do not have to. So the history around this, or the context around this, is that previously, when we had constitutional changes go through the Senate process, they died because not enough full-time faculty participated in the process. And part-time faculty were kept from voting with the argument of, well, there's just so darn many of them, and to get a majority of them to engage in a voting process would make it impossible. So the idea here is allowing for a representative from that body to vote, but that there's not a minimum requirement of them to participate. But there still is the requirement of the full-time faculty. Does that make sense? Anna, you have something to add there?
I was just going to suggest that maybe we change the language to say, but does not require a minimum number of part-time votes, to make that more clear.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, so I'm sorry. You said it's still going to require a minimum number of full-time faculty though?
Right, that part isn't being changed. It's just the addition of these other people voting to allow their votes to be part of the process.
Okay, and then I wasn't really, what I was more meaning was that the sentence there, it seems like it's pertaining to the change in Article 9 Part E, but there are changes in Article 9 A1 and in Article 8 2. Not just the changing in the constitutional amendment voting. It's that whole like 20% of the full-time, part-time, blah, blah, blah.
Well, is that
was changed? Aren't those two different things? Like what you were just talking about is when we're actually voting on the actual amendments, right?
I'm sorry, it's late in the day. Can you ask it again, and I'll just like stare at you so I can follow?
I'm sorry. So what I was saying was there are changes in those articles that aren't just the change to what you were talking about just now. Like this sentence right here is pertaining to when we're actually voting as a faculty body on the amendments, correct?
9 is.
Right, but also in 9 was that change where 20% of any of those groups can bring forth a petition. And I'm just not seeing that in the summary document.
Oh. Yes, you are right. Okay. Yes. Okay.
And I think that's, I think it's important, so. I don't know.
Yeah, so.
I think that could, does that fit under Amendment 8?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Edited
to increase part-time faculty representation.
Exactly. Articles. How's that? Or do I need to call it out more specifically?
I'm sorry, I looked away when you typed it. Where did you type it in?
I added after, is it showing
Yeah,
up?
I got you. Thank you.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay. Last call. Franny wants this meeting done. So let's do it. Can I entertain a motion to approve this summary proposed document?
So moved.
Nice. Thanks, Tara. In a second.
I second it.
Thank you, Joy. We have hold on, Fran, we got to vote first. So we got a motion to approve as edited the summary document for our constitutional updates made by Tara Carter. It was seconded by Joy Coons. You may vote yes, no, or you may abstain. Roll call vote. Ben?
Yes.
Counselor Jen?
Yes.
Ellen?
Yes.
Jenny?
Yes.
Joy?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. Elizabeth?
Yes.
Kathy's no longer with us. Robin?
Yes.
Jess?
Yes.
Robbie?
Yes.
Ruth?
Yes.
Tara?
Yes.
Russell?
Voting on the document or to extend the meeting longer?
Document.
I lost connectivity.
It's okay.
Okay, then yes.
Okay, awesome. And Trisha?
Yes.
And Anna?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. That passes. We are not going to keep Russell any longer. If you're listening, Russell, get on out of here. We'll end the meeting by acclamation. Thank you, everyone.
I am still listening, but I'm doing it under protest.
Well, Franny's saying goodbye, so the meeting's over.
Say goodbye to all
Bye,
of you.
Franny.
Hi, Franny.
Franny, come on over.
Hi, Franny.
Bye, Franny.
Hi, everyone, and all the babies.
Bye, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Oh, you too, bud? Say bye.